We have a cool project today I want to start talking to you about. We're going to build a bumper assembly for this Cat 259 D3. From the factory, they sell, it's an option, some counterweights that bolt onto the back of the machine right here and on the other side. It provides 200 pounds of additional weight on the back of the unit. I've got some help here, David and Mathen, and they'll explain to you why we need the counterweights. And again, the purpose of this video is just to show you, instead of just bolting on the weights and just using them as weights, we're going to add some functionality and take advantage of this weight and create some additional guarding and bumpering on the back end of this machine for our forestry applications. So here we go. Hope you enjoy.
I'm David, and this is my son Mathen.
Hey.
And we're here to show you a little bit about the 259 D3. This is a 2020 model, about 76 horsepower. This unit weighs about 9,000 pounds, and it's rated at about 2,000 pounds of operating capacity, but that's with the normal bucket right here at the B pin. When you put a big attachment on the front that is this large and also has a center of gravity that's much further out than a normal bucket, it creates more tipping, a proclivity to tip. So what we need to do is we need to look at adding anywhere from about 200 to 300 pounds of additional weight back here to counteract the additional weight on that attachment up front. And we're going to get a little bit of cardboard and some Sharpies, and we're going to rapidly prototype out a template that we're going to use to roughly see how to fit a counterweight in this area right back here.
enjoyed that. If you can come over here and take a look, we've got our cardboard mock-up done with duct tape and an old shipping box. So this, you know, we've got 15 cents tied up in this activity other than our time so far. So the concept here that you can see is that we're going to put a plate that matches the geometry of this back end of the skid steer here, and it's going to have the OEM factory mounted bolt holes that you can see here. We, you know, employed some cleverness when we made this. You know, we put some grease in the holes and stuck them on, and tried to be real practical, you know, making crease indents. We didn't take a lot of measurements to make this, and you don't normally have to for something like this. The intent here is to take our vision and our idea and turn it into something tangible and real, so we can, number one, check to see if it'll actually work, if it's feasible, and number two, you know, most people can understand this type of thing a lot better than drawings and abstract, you know, discussion, right? So with this, there should be no misunderstanding about what we're trying to do. So we have a big plate. It's probably going to be the same thickness as this rear plate right here. This is 3/4 of an inch. So we kind of roughed out some calculations. If we make all of these shapes out of 3/4 inch plate, it'll be approximately the same weight as the OEM counterweight set, which is good. That, you know, will keep us close to OEM specs on the weight. The real feature here is, if we can get this cat out of the way, is that we're adding functionality to the weight, which is this track guard right here, down here, and then this, again, this will be made out of the same 3/4 inch plate. Will come around approximately about a 6-inch radius around this corner to give us some added bumper functionality. When you're out in the woods doing forestry work with these machines, the number one place you're going to run into things is on these corners. So there's a rear backup camera on this that you can see there. It's really good. It's just like what you find in modern vehicles, but you have these big blind spots from the operator station back about 45 degrees, and you can't see the big oak tree on the screen right before you hit it because it's in your blind spot, and when you visually look out the window, you have a hard time with things that are right here. So rather than backing into a big oak tree with the corner of the machine, you know, we're moving that point of impact out a few inches away from the machine with these guards here. So we didn't take a lot of time, just because this is a mock-up, to make this look pretty, but the final version will likely have radius corners here. There'll probably be some sort of smooth and radius corner that matches this profile, or visually at least looks a little better. And again, here, you know, this, we might put a radius here, or just an angle cut here, and then radius this thing around, and just make it look more visually like it matches the rest of the curvature and the smooth edges of the machine. So I hope you enjoyed watching that process. We had a lot of fun doing it. It's a simple thing to do, but it adds a lot of value when you're taking something from the ideation stage and trying to make a rapid prototype. So believe it or not, taking this time actually will save you a lot of money in the long run, because you find things out that you might not ordinarily find out till a later step here, which gives you the opportunity to design around, change, make modifications, stuff like that. So we're going to take all of this and our field notes and some pictures. We're going to go back to the shop, and we're going to go on to phase 2 of this rapid prototype, which we're going to probably make this again, remake it out of plywood, and then we can bring it back out here and bolt it onto the machine in the field, just again to check fit and functionality, make sure it's exactly what we want before we start buying and cutting plate. as you can see, we've, with some help from the team, we have created a plywood mock-up of our rapid prototype bumper counterweight arrangement. You can remember from earlier in the video, this looks remarkably similar to the cardboard cutout that we did, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. This is made out of 3/4 inch plywood, which is going to be almost exactly the same dimension as the 3/4 inch plate that we're going to eventually use to fabricate this for real. And for mock-up purposes, we replicated the mounting bolt holes exactly. We have a cutout for this physical feature here. We made a crude attempt at radiusing or blunting off these corners just to give a visual. These in the final version will be a smooth torch cut, either curve or a uniform looking chamfer, just to keep the sharp pointy edges away. And instead of obviously these temporary L brackets and screws that we use to secure this, all of these plate pieces will be welded. It'll be fully welded all the way around. So it looks to be stout, like what we need. Again, the calculations say that it should weigh approximately what we need it to weigh, and it's going to provide the track guarding and the bumper radiusing that we were looking for, all kind of in one package. So other than a few things that David is going to talk to you about in a second, I think that this demonstrates and illustrates that this is number one, that it's achievable. Number two, that we can fabricate and manufacture this in a very cost-effective and practical way. This material is all the same type and thickness. It's one tooling setup at the shop to burn this plate. The pieces that are used to make this design, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of plate, and they're identical for the other side. When they're welded together, they'll be welded together on the opposite configuration, so there will be a left-hand bracket and a right-hand bracket, but each bracket can be constructed with the exact same pieces. So we'll make quantity 2, quantity 2, quantity 2, quantity 2, and from those standard pieces be able to make the left and right side, which is an elegance in the design that we were searching for. We're trying to make this as easy as possible to design and manufacture. So this is it. This is phase 2. This is how we do things. We learned a lot through this process, and in the next iteration of the design, it'll be even better than this one. So stand by for Mr. David. Here he comes.
Well, this has been a pretty good project. Everyone does things a little differently, and I like the process that we've used, and the reason why is because when you put your hands on something and when you actually make it, to me it comes to life and you can actually see the way it works in the application. For instance, this chain here, normally when you would design it in a computer model, you may not know that there's an application issue here. This chain is going to interfere if we were to bring this around. So we're going to have to think about incorporating these types of elements into our design so that you don't end up creating more of a headache and a hassle as you design this. As we began to make this, we also challenged ourselves, what else could we do with this? How else could we make it better? That's why we're doing this project, is because we want to improve the things we have, make them more convenient for ourselves. And we're going to try to use this space up here to bring something else into this that's useful and helpful. So stay tuned there on what we're going to be bringing to you. It's going to be pretty exciting. Over here, we've checked the fitment of the doors. We've opened it, and we've checked for clearance issues, and it works. We are going to modify this area here just to make sure that we're not creating any issue with the way we secure our machine to the trailer. And overall, I think it's turning out to be a pretty good design, pretty good product. And I think it's going to make our machine more durable. I think it's going to give it more protection. It's going to add that weight we're going to need. Remember, we need some extra weight back here to handle that big shredder on the front. So pretty exciting. The next phase, we're going to bring this really into focus. You're going to see this thing come to life, and it's going to be exciting to see something that was dreamt up, and now through these different steps, we're really have something tangible, something we can actually really test, take it out to the woods, see how it does.
Okay everyone, we've got the plate. We fit up to the machine. All the major features look like they're lining up good, so the next step is I'm going to weld it up, and we're going to video that so you can see it. Should be pretty good.
Heard we were doing some welding today.
Oh man, I got it under control. I could weld a corncob pipe on a snowman.
I think I got this today.
Oh. Okay everyone, we've got the prototype left-hand side bumper done. We're gonna clean it up a little bit and put some top secret high-tech prototype coating on it, and then we'll show you a video of all that when it's done. So you can see the plywood mock-up in the background there. That's was the guide that we used to do the AutoCAD, and then ultimately cut all this plate and drill all these holes and everything else. So anyway, it's coming along. All right everybody, we got the bumper plates welded up. We put the top secret rattle can coating on this for the prototype, so make it look a little good. We're going to get it out in the field and put some miles on it and do some field testing to validate that, you know, this thing is not going to fall apart. But I think we've accomplished what we set out to do. We've got the track guard here. We've got a radius bumper plate here that'll keep big trees and things from hitting the corner of the machine. And we've got some really cool chain storage here that adds utility to all this counterweight we just put on the back of this machine. So we'll be able to carry around 2 chains with us, keep the unit protected a little bit, and add all the counterweight we need for our big heavy molding attachments. So stay tuned. You know, we'll put another video up in a little while and let you know how this thing performed out in the field.
Things close to gravity, all things will never die. I was sorry with the people, no better.